Hello and welcome to Stream Tabulous. So, with Krita, however you want to pronounce it, is it causing conflicts with your system? If you're running Windows 10 or Windows 11, you might be running into problems, particularly with the new version of Ackley's AI, where if you're not turning your computer off on a regular basis, you may be building to problems within Windows. Usually it will start off where your start bar isn't, or taskbar isn't coming up straight away. There's a lag to it. You might be right-clicking for properties on your desktop or on file. There's a slight delay there. Opening up Task Manager, it gets slower. This builds up over time, and then you may hit a freeze. No Windows errors whatsoever, just Windows coming to a complete stop where it is stuck on the screen and you can't open Task Manager and you're forced to do hard resets. Hard resets aren't good, particularly if you have mechanical hard drives inside your system. So what is causing this? This is something that I started encountering a couple of versions of Krita back, or Ackley's AI, and I went down a rabbit hole to investigate what's actually going on. And the interesting thing is we can see that Ackley's AI is emptying out completely, but Windows, on the other hand, is running into hook stack errors where it's slowly building up junk in the background, and this leaks up to the point that it just causes Windows to basically just go bleh and freeze. It's not flooding RAM, it's not flooding graphics card, it's got nothing to do with the hardware on your system whatsoever. This is just the core of actual Windows itself, which causes the issue. So we'll head over to the intro quickly, and then we'll get on with it. Okay, so first off, I would have done this video a little bit sooner, but unfortunately I ran into a little bit of a hiccup. I had a problem where the ye old Wi-Fi wasn't connecting. This is an interesting one. So that's the old one there. It just connects to my modem through this. What was happening was really odd. It was coming up like it was a hardware issue with the actual physical computer, and you know, you couldn't actually open up the Wi-Fi. You'd have to restart the computer, you'd unplug it, plug it back in, it seemed to be working fine. But the interesting part is it was actually affecting the whole system, which made it look like it was a system issue, where basically the mouse would start lagging and it'd actually be affecting Windows. Because when a piece of hardware is starting to fail inside your computer, Windows tries to handshake with it to work out what's actually reconnect, basically. And when it's not reconnecting properly, it actually affects the entire Windows, because Windows is trying to load it, it's trying to talk to it. So I didn't pick up on it straight away until it became really, really bad. So that's why I haven't done a video for the week. Yeah, so that brings me down to this. I can really use a hand. If you can throw a donation into my Ko-fi, any little bit helps. It goes to keeping me up and running, basically. I've had a donation so far, which has been absolutely fantastic. I actually haven't touched that. I've put that to the side because I want to use that to basically get this computer up to speed so I can do better videos on using Krita and the AI. So yeah, if you can get on over there, I'll put a link in the description and you can follow that and help me out. It'd be fantastic. And of course, always like, subscribe to the video, and that will help out as well because it gets more people to engage. So yeah, back onto Krita. So you may be getting little errors of stacks that are coming up, and I went down a rabbit hole. Now, it's kind of important to know the apps that you can get for AI on your phone. So we're talking ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Meta, and Grok. All these can help you to do what I'm about to show you, and I highly recommend them. To talk about those quickly, ChatGPT, it's okay, but there's clearly a lot of firewalls in there and issues with it where it's kicking out chatbot script instead. So instead of being AI, it will kick out chatbot stuff. Now, it's not too bad in the sense that at least it's not making stuff up when it's kicking that out. So it can be helpful in regards to creativity work. Anything else, if it's medical related, if it's religion based, or anything whatsoever outside the realm of technical hardware and stuff like that, it fails massively and it's absolutely bad, and I wouldn't use it for that. Grok. Grok is kind of horrible. It has a habit of deciding that it wants to have fun and play games, which can be very, very dangerous when you're trying to do a bat file or a script for your computer, because it leads to it just doing whatever it wants, not what you need. So Grok is really needs a lot of work put into it. It's not good. I would keep away from that. Now, Gemini and Copilot, absolutely fantastic, can't fault them. What I do note with all the AI is be very, very careful, because it might be telling you to turn services off in Windows to try to help protect your system, prevent like premature hardware wear on your hard drives. But the scripts that it's kicking out, XIT, as you know, or not the scripts, but the services that it's telling you to turn off are actually vital for Windows. And if you turn them off, you may not be able to reboot your computer. So watch out for that. And if you're using it to do these, just pay very, very close attention. I'd recommend running it through the other AIs. So take your bat file from, we'll say Gemini, throw it into Microsoft or Meta, and just say, hey, I'm running this. Do you see any problems with it? This is what I'm trying to do. I don't want to be disabling certain features in Windows and so forth. And you can use them to cross-check each other, which is a lot easier than going on and trying to find a Reddit or something like that, where there's just not a lot of information. So if you're not entirely sure on what you're doing, keep that in mind when you're going through it. Now, we'll go over and we'll take a look at some of the stuff that I've kicked out, and I'll put these up in my Dropbox as well so you can download them. And for most of it, you can just run, but you may have to edit some of them. But the beauty is you can just drop these into, say, we'll just say Gemini. Gemini seems to be the better one. Drop it into Gemini and say, hey, this is my computer, this is what my hard drives are, this is a bat file that I've been given, but it's not set to my system. What do I need to change on it? And it'll do all the changes for you. You just copy it, paste it back in, and you'll be good to go. So let's head over and take a look at the workflows for this. Okay, so here we are here. And I've got a bunch of these, and you'll notice this one up top, after AI shell Explorer and search restart. So we can go into edit on this, and when you're creating these, you're creating it as a text file, and then you're renaming it to BAT. Now remember, if you're doing that, you will need to come on to options, and you will need to go down to view, and you're going to have to come down and always show the extension type. So you don't want to hide the extension type. You want it to be unticked so you can actually see, and it will say text or whatever, and then just change that to BAT. So yeah, so you get some Stack Overflows. It's just basically Windows having a little bit of a headache, and it builds up. So if you're not restarting your computer, you're going to run into this. I would recommend, if you're using the newer Ackley, probably want to restart your computer after using it, to save headaches. Now, yeah, there are like little power surges and that. It's not best to restart your computer. You should really leave it running pretty much all the time, especially if you've got mechanical hard drives in it and you're using it as a server. Unless it's really hot, then you want to be turning it down and just leaving it off for as much as possible. So you can come down here and you can see that the search restart logs and that in there. Now the search and the Explorer are the two big ones. They're the ones that are getting leaks, and they're building up to the point that it's going to crash your system. And when that's happening, it's not going to kick out any logs or anything like that. You're not going to see hardware failures. You're not going to see what's gone wrong with Windows. It's just going to stall. And the reason this happens, that it doesn't get an error, is because it actually needs to use Explorer to actually create its error log. And when Explorer isn't responding, you're not going to get a blue screen. You're not going to get anything. You're just going to get a frozen Windows. So that's how we know that it's coming from a leak within Windows and it's affecting the core system of Windows. Now, it's interesting to note that this problem actually occurred with both Windows 11 and Windows 10 itself, probably about 5 to 6 months ago. It wasn't there last year, so basically when Dad passed away and I did the last video, you wouldn't have been hitting this error. This is something that's come up pretty recently. It's a Windows issue. Windows basically doesn't care about it because they look at, if you're running a server, you're going to be running Linux, you're going to be running custom OSs to do that. You're not going to be running Windows. People that are running Windows are Office-based. They're not leaving the computer running, so it's like, eh. The thing is, you can run your AI, and 8 hours later, you're going to start to encounter this build-up. And depending on your system and your hardware, this build-up can be more impactful in a short amount of time than a longer amount of time. So rather than 48 hours, you may be hitting it in, say, 5 or 6 hours. Also, you're certainly going to notice it if you're gaming. It's going to be causing frame drops and issues running in the background. So if you're doing AI and you're using your computer for other stuff, this is so important to actually know this. So you can see here, this is basically the bat. I won't bore you with it. I'll leave it a link. You can download it, you can look at it, you can modify it to your system. This one you shouldn't need to modify. It's core anyway, so it's just going to work. There's no issues with it. But if you're coming down to, say, and I'll leave some of these up, say the idle bat here for hard drives. Now, another problem which occurred with Windows is mechanical hard drives aren't going into idle. Which means they're generating more heat and it's damaging your mechanical drives, and you might be putting sleep on underneath the settings and it's not actually sleeping your hard drive at all, and you're like, what the heck's going on? So I have a drive idle bat which you can create, and it would need editing because it's obviously got my drive letters in there. So you need to change that to actually configure to yours. So that's something to keep in handy. Now, this one here has got a lot of old hard drives in it on my other system that I basically use. Never thrown any hard drives out. I'll just run them until they die. So there's a number of them in there, 3 terabytes, 2 terabytes, and so forth. So you'll need to go through and remove ones that you're not doing. If you don't know what you're doing, put it into one of the AI programs, apps, and say, I only have this one's got a lot more hard drives than I have in it. What do I need to change? And then you can just simply create a shortcut to it. You can drop that shortcut on your taskbar or wherever, and then you can just double click it. It'll go through a countdown, which is about 5 minutes. That is essentially going through and gently turning off your hard drives rather than just going boom and turning it off, because you don't want to do that. You want to gently turn them off and put them into idle, and that will stop damage to your hard drives. It will stop a heat build up. It will stop mechanical wear and tear. So again, drive idle is another thing that broke in both Windows 10 and 11, and if you've gone onto Reddit and that, you'll see a lot of people with the issue. They're not imagining it. If you're turning your computer on and off on a very regular basis, then your drives will idle for a short time, and then it'll basically break after about 3-4 hours. Explorer Snapshot Bat. So this is one of the tools that I was using to actually capture and log Explorer to see what was actually going on. So essentially what I'd do is I'd compare the logs, and where it's saving my logs is going to be different to where it's going to be saving your logs. So you want to go through, put these into one of the AIs and say, hey, can you set this up for my system? I want this log file to output to C drive logs. or something like that. I've got it on a mechanical hard drive for the output, and then you can take those reports. So do a couple of reports. So say you do a report every 4 hours, and then take all those reports, dump them into Gemini, so you can upload those text reports, and you can say, does it look like there's instability in Explorer? And it will go through and it will say, yeah, it looks like it's building up. You probably want to diagnose something more and further investigate this, or no, it's running fairly fine. Again, I have more detailed full diagnostics report. This specific one is pointed to look at Krita. And then I was looking at the GPU because I thought this was a GPU error inside the system. And then I was looking at the Windows Media, I think it's Windows Media Interface, but it's WMI is the layer of Windows which is the core for Windows running, and it's one of the things which was building up and causing errors. So this is a more comprehensive log to see how Krita was actually responding, and if it was closing off fully to find out that yes, it was. So come down and we have another full snapshot report there. I won't upload all these, you don't need the keyboard ones and that. I was running into a problem with Bluetooth keyboard. Turns out the dongle was faulty. It was causing key locks where Control-Alt would just jam down. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? Because I'm not using that keyboard. I'm using a normal one rather than the Bluetooth one. And I'm like, what's going on? But I had left the dongle in, and that dongle had failed, and it was causing ghost keys. So that's what that exists for. So you might run into all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So I won't bore you with these. They're basically all there for monitoring, and like I said, you can drop them in, tell it to output the log file to where you need it to be, and it will do that. So this one's the one, if you're running into big problems, that you can run, and that will save you restarting your computer on a regular basis, because it's going to restart and refresh Windows Explorer and the search. Now, when you run it, you are going to, your taskbar is going to disappear, your screen's going to go either black or whatever for a split second, and then it's going to come back. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's talk about hard drives and hard drive damage. So we'll come back over. Okay, so let's talk about your hard drives and hard drive damage. So if you're running a solid state drive and you're looking at crystal disk info for your hard drive, and you might be finding that health on your hard drive is dropping incredibly fast. You might be thinking, why is this happening? My hard drive's failing, you know, all that sort of stuff. Now, surprisingly enough, unless you can afford to replace your hard drive on a regular basis, then you're better off actually using a mechanical drive to run your AI. It's only a fraction slower. In fact, you probably won't even notice the difference. But the reason your hard drive is failing faster for your solid state drive is those 6GB models, when they're loading to your VRAM, they're still running through Windows in the background because Windows needs to know how to redirect that. So it's very quickly taking little byte packets and passing them across. And the problem with that is it's still using your C drive, which is likely to be your solid state drive, and that's going to cause big issues. Now, if you ask, say, ChatGPT, and tell it I'm running, say, you know, Comfy UI, because that's what Ackley's backend is, and you're having problems and noticing the hard drive is starting to wear down, and you need to move the cache files from Python onto a mechanical drive, it will show you how to actually recreate the link to move it from from Windows users, and I forget what the name is, but there's a file in there which is basically the Python directory, which is everything which is doing its quick caching to transfer over. You can use a CMD to redirect those files and create links. So it replaces those. It is not the same as just moving the file and going create shortcut. It may look like a shortcut, but it is not a shortcut. That's very important. So you recreate these links to your mechanical drive instead. So when you're actually physically running Krita, then you're not actually using your C drive for that quick data transfer, and that will save wear and tear. And the reason I bring this up is because, as I said, I had hard drives kick the bucket. I'm like, what's going on here? As it turned out, that was one of the big reasons for it with my solid state drive dying, was doing these. So that's something to keep in mind. Unless you've got a lot of money where you can fork out, if you're finding your solid states dying pretty quickly, you might want to keep that in mind. Of course, it depends how much you're actually using Krita, and it would also depend on the quality of your drive. I was using Crucial. Crucial don't have nearly the amount of write capacity as a Samsung drive does. So if I was using a Samsung drive, I'd probably still get about 5 years out of it anyway. And something also to keep in mind is, there's a 5-year warranty on most of the quality drives, and you don't really see anything over that. And you might be thinking, well, okay, these drives are said to last for 20 years or even longer. This is true, but what it's not taking into account is dry solder joints and hardware degradation inside. Whilst the NAND and that is designed to last an incredibly long time, it's the power delivery of hard drives that fail. So mechanical hard drives aren't really failing because of the read-write heads are going on it, or the clusters are going on it. They're much better than they used to be. Usually that doesn't go at all, but you usually get around about 5 to 6 years, especially in, say, Australian heat, where you get those 40-degree days and 45-degree days Celsius, where it's just too much and you're running your hard drive, and that's the additional heat on top of it if you're not pumping air conditioning straight at your damn system, and that's causing the degradation of the power delivery of the hard drive. So it's the power controllers in the hard drive that are failing at a really rapid rate. So keep that in mind. It's probably important to know, and that's why everyone says backup, 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 and that is very important. But I thought I'd let you guys know that. So this video is just basically, to tell you and give you information in regards to this, because I have noticed on forums that a lot of people are running into these issues, and they're thinking that it's something wrong with their comfy, and then they're thinking it's something wrong with their computer. Like me, they're reformatting their systems or cloning the hard drives, thinking the hard drive's dead and so forth, and they're running into the same issues over and over and over again. Yeah, unfortunately, Windows has really dropped the ball in the last probably 12 months, I would say. And yeah, whether they'll fix it in Windows 11, I'm not entirely sure. Windows 10 sort of looked at as its end of life. We just don't care. The sad thing is, like I said, it was like more than 6 months ago that these issues reared their head. They had plenty of time to fix it, but they just looked at it as, no, it's going to be end of life anyway. Let's just concentrate on Windows 11. But they haven't even addressed the issues in Windows 11. So yeah, it's a bit of a ramble of a video. And I know that might seem a little bit frustrating. If it helps you, it helps you. And if it does help you, of course, you can like, subscribe, get the bell on for notifications. You would have skipped this video if it wasn't interesting in some way to you. So if you've hung around, fantastic. And of course, again, if you can help out, head over and buy me a coffee. It'd be fantastic. A small donation goes a long, long way, and I'll put it in the back funds to help upgrade the system so we can get on into the more intense and the newer models. But of course, I will get back into showing you how to use Krita and One Trainer and stuff like that, and work your way around things and whatnot. If there's something you need to learn or something you need to know, just leave a message down below in that old chat box or wherever the heck it is, since YouTube like to move it around. And of course, I will see you in the next Stream Tab List video. Thank you for watching my video and sticking around to the end. If you like my videos, it'd really help me out if you could like and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm to push my videos out there to more viewers, which in turn helps me and helps everyone. So thank you for watching my video and hanging around to the end, and I will see you in the next video.